welcome to my channel. My name is Anna. I am an artist that's starting to bring her hobby into a business. This channel is all about helpful tips and things that I've found helpful with that journey. And I thought I'd record this video looking at a painting that didn't work out, because we often record or do things about things that work and that we're really proud of, but actually this painting I have kept going back to over and over again, but it's not working, and I think I'm just going to let it go. But that's a big decision because you put the time in, but often you can work out whether it's something that you can fix and you can work through, but with this one I think it's time to let it go. And so hopefully running through what mistakes I made, it'll be good pointers for things to think about the next time that I do something, and hopefully you might find it useful too. So I think one of the first problems that I made was I didn't go into this with any particular plan. I knew that I wanted to do something floral, and I wasn't sure. I hadn't planned any colours or anything like that. And as a result, I used quite a pale background, so you can see that I've just put like a light ochre on the background, and it's with a slightly green tinge, but this didn't create any contrast. So when I started painting on top of it, the colours weren't a massive contrast to the greens that I was going to be using in the final painting. The other thing was, because I hadn't picked a colour scheme or picked exactly what I really wanted it to look like, I used up whatever colours that I had in my oil paints. And this was partly because I had started to run out of oil paints and I needed a restock, and so I was just using whatever was available at the time. So another issue that I had was that I didn't have any linseed oil. This is something that one thins the paint a bit but also lessens the drying time. So because I didn't have any, I was just using the oil paint straight on the painting. As a result, it was really thick, which is good if you want a textured look, but it wasn't what I really wanted for the start of this painting. And it also meant that the drying time was massively longer, and because I was impatient and I just wanted to paint, I ended up painting quite often on wet paint, which mixed the colours and meant that there wasn't a massive contrast. I can go over this later, but again, it just means that it's another step in the process when I could have just been patient and waited or had the right things to hand. So the next thing that I did wrong, because I didn't really have a plan, was that I had no reference flowers, and I do freehand a lot of flowers anyways, but in this case, because I had no reference flowers and no ideas, you can see I've put a lot of space filler flowers in, so a lot of colour in there, and they're all quite similar, so I've got a lot of fillers of pink and purple and then white. And because of this, it just made the space look too busy, and I'm a big believer in blank space, like how important the space is around the image that you're creating. And I think that because I made this too busy, nothing draws the eye. It becomes quite a hard and chaotic thing to look at, rather than it having a focus of the painting. So this again just comes down to bad planning, and just being a bit too gung-ho with what I was doing and not really having clear references of flowers. So you can see what I've tried to do now is kind of contrast. I add a bit more contrast and add a bit more break in the colour, so I'm adding more greens and deeper colours. It does create a bit more contrast and make it a bit bolder, and so it stands out a bit more, but I feel like because I've overdone it underneath, there's just no real getting over the fact that all of them colours and all of that texture is already there. So you can see here I'm just trying to add the final touches, trying to bring out some contrast and break up the colour a bit with some green. I think it does work a little bit. It looks better than the way it started, but it's definitely not the normal standard that I would do for paintings, and therefore I won't be selling or doing anything with this one. We'll put it down to practice. As always, thank you for watching. Hopefully it's been helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.